where we left things, we were talking about convoy security. We had our staff sergeant come out and tell us about convoy security, and he sent over some great information. And what we see that somehow, and I don't believe it's coincidence, but somehow, Suge and Tupac were placed in the most vulnerable position that somebody can be placed if they are part of a convoy. And Reggie Wright Jr., Reggie Wright Sr., law enforcement people, this isn't something that is new to security people. They train for this. They train for moving prisoners. They train for moving people all the time. They train for doing security details when they're working with the mayor or they're working with other dignitaries. So this isn't something new. This isn't a new security concept. This isn't some brand new fangled thing. Cars have been around for over 100 years, and assassinations have been happening ever since the car. So we know that if somebody, the CEO and the top star at a record label, are placed in the most vulnerable place they can be placed in a convoy, that it's not coincidence. And how do we know that? What reinforces our theory of that? Well, in a recent live streaming, RJ and I were both asked what we thought the most damning piece of evidence was. And RJ said, got him. And got him is a very, very damning piece of evidence. And RJ may be right. This may be the most damning piece of evidence. What does got him mean to us? Got him, if it was just got him and we heard it over a radio and, okay, yeah, you sent me for the batteries, got him. That could be. But the timing of it is very suspect because got him happens right after Tupac and Suge are shot. Now that vehicle, according to eyewitnesses, sat for like 90 seconds before it moved. And you hear gunshots and the thing sits there for 90 seconds. That's 90 seconds where you think the two occupants of that vehicle are dead. Nate Dogg, who was following Frank Alexander and talking to talking to Badass at the time, Badass tells us this, says that he was told by Nate Dogg that both Suge and Tupac were dead. And there were other people that made phone calls in that time, and the word got out that Tupac and Suge were dead. So, got 'em means they're dead. We got them. And I think everybody thought got 'em, that they were dead at the time. The shots rang out, the car sat very silent, and then the car started to move again. And standing next to Reggie Wright is Michael Moore, who hears got him, and then he hears don't say nothing over the radios, and then he hears Reggie tell everybody to turn off their radios, shut the radios down. That makes this highly suspicious. Got him indicates now there's at least 3 people that are on radios. There's the shooters, probably the person that said got him. There's the person that says don't say nothing over the radio, probably the quarterback. We've been told that that's David Kenner. We don't know for sure, but that's what we've been told. And then you have Reggie Wright Jr., who is the one that Michael Moore hears it over his radio. So RJ may be right. That's a very, very damning piece of evidence. And when we look at it in reference to the confession letter, it starts to take on whole new meaning. We hear Daz say that he was supposed to go to Vegas, and Snoop told him not to fuck it up. The confession letter tells us it's Snoop's cousin that's doing the shooting, and we start to see this in a whole new light. I'm going to post links up to the confession letter. I hope you guys can I want all the crowd to go over the confession letter. Let's have as many eyes on that confession letter as we can. I want you guys to look at it. I want you to read it. I want you to see things that we haven't seen. Maybe there's something that you'll notice about the confession letter. It could be anything. We need every brain thinking about this, looking at it. We need you scrutinizing that MGM video surveillance footage. And we need the crowd to help us solve this murder. And I'd like to talk about other things that we can look at. Jesse Sargent has done an amazing job of assembling lots of video testimony of what people saw, what people knew about death row records at the time. There's great background information. I would encourage everybody to look through those videos. We found that Daz quote because one of our crowd pointed it out to me. I looked at it, and that's how this happened. And so the crowd, there is power in the crowd, and we need the crowd to look at all of Jesse Sargent's videos, all of Lad TV's videos, all of anybody else's videos that are out there, all the footage that's out there. Scour, look for clues. These clues are out there, and anybody that knows anybody who was in Vegas that night, see if they have video. See if they, back then video cameras were pretty prevalent. I mean, this is the video era where it started. This is post-Rodney King. And so there were a lot of people that had video, and it's possible that there's something there. There was video that was taken to the Peterson Museum when Biggie was killed. And apparently that video didn't yield anything, but there is video that exists. And maybe there's something that exists here. I'd like to see some more video footage, and I'd like to give a shout out to all the people who came before. Frank Alexander did a great thing when he hooked up with R.J. Bond, and they started the Tupac assassination series. I'd encourage everybody to watch those assassination films because they are good. The confession letter retransformed everything that we thought about the cases, and I really wasn't even involved back then in the assassination film era. But those guys did a lot of really groundbreaking work. They were the ones that shot the interview of Michael Moore on videotape talking about Gotham. Anyway, I'd like to give a shout out to all of the people who've come before who prepared information on this case. It's up to all of us in the crowd to look at whatever we can, read all the books people have written from that time period, and let's continue to look for clues. The crowd has strength. The crowd has power.